All right, this first question comes from Pablo Lopez, who says, "Hey Jake, if I remember correctly, Vice City is your favorite GTA in the franchise. That's my favorite game ever. Do you wonder, or are you even afraid about how the upcoming game will balance and contrast the nostalgia versus modern days? Sometimes I fear GTA 6 will be too modern and lose some of its remarkable features. Much love." Good question. First, I don't know if I've ever said GTA Vice City is my favorite. I could be wrong, but on a good day, I flip-flop. I love GTA 4 and GTA San Andreas the most, but GTA Vice City is awesome, man. The soundtrack, the fact that Ray Liotta is the main character, that guy's basically my dad. But this is an interesting question. In terms of balancing the contrast of nostalgia versus modern days, that could be twofold. That could be both from gameplay perspectives or just culture depiction perspectives. And in that, I'll argue that GTA games should be modern. Grand Theft Auto 4 was incredibly modern. It depicted New York City, or Liberty City, but really it reflected like a post 9/11 New York City incredibly well. Like I was blown away. New York now like doesn't feel like that, but it did. It nailed it. Then of course GTA 5 most recently was a modern game set in modern times, very much reflecting Los Angeles culture at that time. These things move fast. These cultural touchstones ebb and flow very quickly, but it did a really good job lampooning LA celebrity culture, just LA stuff, even a little bit of tech Silicon Valley stuff. It had that on lock. So I want and would expect Grand Theft Auto 6 to continue that, and to continue to show modern America, lampoon modern America, with it being in Florida culture, the craziness, the excess, the trashiness, the classiness, all of that. I think it's tough in this day and age. Like, it's a very spicy time, in terms of think pieces and stuff like that. But I really also am curious in terms of gameplay features where you mentioned modern versus classic. Because I wonder if Grand Theft Auto is going to continue to lean into the more Red Dead weightier, slower, methodical simulation style gameplay versus like the more goofy, fun flexibility of the older games. If they can find a perfect line, I'd love to see it. Honestly, I do expect it to feel a little bit more methodical, like a Red Dead Redemption, but hopefully still having the antics and crazy mini games and side quest bullshit that a Grand Theft Auto should have. And honestly, Pablo, who asked this question, I think you probably will end up getting some of the nostalgia you want and some of the classic sensibilities you want, because it is returning to Vice City, which of course, there's a lot of nostalgia right there from the location and also just the vibe, neon lights, the Miami Strip, the palm trees, the beach, the sunsets, all that. So you're going to have that. And then in terms of like depicting modern America, I'm very curious to see how that's actually going to go down and who's going to get mad at it. Hey, now next up, let's talk about today's sponsor. All right, it's boot.dev, and I'm really happy to be talking about them, honestly, because they understand that learning programming online can be kind of boring. So they make it a game. They straight up gamify it. Yes, that's right. They made learning programming a video game. They got a bunch of different courses: Python, Go, JavaScript, Linux. But all these courses are intuitive and interactive. They walk you through the process, and you learn by, actually being hands-on. But like I said, it's all designed around kind of being a video game, and it actually feels like an RPG. Do well and you earn EXP and you level up. If you mess up, you can take a hit to your armor level. There are potions for EXP boosts. There's a bunch of different stats, stat tracking. There's also a really solid dedicated community on Discord. The reality with learning programming, and boot.dev acknowledges this, is that it takes time. You gotta really put the work in, so why not enjoy the learning process? Make it feel like a game. Make it kind of feel like you're grinding out a JRPG or going on a quest or something. And boot.dev as a platform is always updating, so they're adding cool stuff all the time, like community boss battles, new features, new things to do, you name it. Notoriously, I've said this before in the past, I find learning this type of stuff very difficult. Tends to intimidate me. I try my best, but with boot.dev and just how it's framed, it's actually working. I've been doing all right, I've been getting through it, and I'm having fun, specifically because of the way it's built. Like a lot of the game industry and just video game references it makes throughout these processes just kind of makes me feel like they really get it. So believe it or not, there's like a demo. You can go to boot.dev, start some courses for free. Then when you're there, you can use code JAKE to get 25% off your first payment for boot.dev. Again, all you got to do is click the link in the description down below or head to boot.dev, get going, and use code JAKE, J-A-K-E, for 25% off your first payment for boot.dev. So go have fun, go learn something, and big thanks to boot.dev for sponsoring this video. Anyway, if you're new here, welcome to my Q&A videos. I'll admit it's been a while since I've done one. I haven't done one since like the beginning of the summer, but usually every month I go and I take your questions to talk about games, movies, anything I don't talk about in normal videos. Get to know me a little more. I get questions from the comment sections of these Q&A YouTube videos. So for the next Q&A video, if you want to ask me a question, drop it in this comment section below and I'll get to it. Anyway, also somebody just started mowing the lawn somewhere near here, so it might be loud, but we're going to power through. So this next question comes from Crisepe9859, who asks, are you on Letterboxd? What are your 4 favorite films? Yes, I am on Letterboxd. My username is my name, Jake Baldino. Look it up. My 4 favorite films, is that like what you put on your profile? Hang on, let me see. Okay, my 4, subject to change, but as of right now, it is The Mummy, Empire Strikes Back, Spider-Man 2, and RoboCop. Am I a teenage boy? Yes, I am, and I'm proud of it. I'll link my letterbox in the description down below if you want to check it out. I'm not writing essays about the movies I see. I'm just kind of giving them a star rating, which is very difficult for me because I don't like ranking score things, but yeah, check it out. Speaking of The Mummy, G3323R says, so we had an Indiana Jones game with Troy Baker. Who would you want to see cast as Brendan Fraser in the Mummy video game if they made one? Funny enough, I was talking about this with a friend, David Cornsweet, the guy who plays Superman. When you listen to him in interviews and like when he's goofy or when he's like loud and raises his voice, he actually has a lot of the same mannerisms as early Brendan Fraser, but I don't know, honestly. I don't know who I would choose, but I think I'd rather see Rick O'Connell live on in a video game than live on in a movie at this point. Just like Indiana Jones. I've said this quite a few times with Indiana Jones and The Great Circle, but like, I don't need a deep-faked CGI Harrison Ford. I'd rather see Harrison Ford live on in the digital world where it makes sense to be digitized and it's not like sad or pathetic. So I'd say it's the same thing with Brendan Fraser. I know they talk about like making a new movie, and yeah, I'd probably cry and I'd probably want to go see it because like The Mummy is one of my favorite things ever, right? But if the adventures of Rick O'Connell can continue not as a CGI deepfake Brendan Fraser, but as a Rick O'Connell peak form in a video game, I would love to see that. I don't know. I just feel better about those things. I don't like, you know, alive people, but also dead people being like exhumed through CGI. It still feels weird. And not even in terms of like morally, like yes, but also just like, it's still just my brain, the way it looks. Oh, here's a good one. I Am Trunk says, I was just wondering, are you ever scared or nervous to talk negatively about a video game or company? Are you scared that they won't send you a preview copy or want to collaborate again in the future? Or do most companies understand that you want to be honest and transparent with your community? That is a very good question, and I think one that should be acknowledged more upfront, more forthright, because I do like games. I want to like games, and I am notorious, and people rag on me for just looking at the positive and just kind of being forgiving of some games. That's not me playing it safe because I want to stay friends with the game publishers or any shit like that. It's just how I talk about games. It's how I've looked at games. It's how I've approached games ever since I've been doing it, like started doing this 14 years ago. I don't even know. I think, to be honest, a big part of it is like my business model, my content model, my GameRanks' model was never built on access. We only ever looked at having a review copy or having access as a nice bonus. It's not something that we rely on, we depend upon, that we're desperate on, that we want to preserve relationships on. We don't care. Most of like, for example, Before You Buy, like most of Before You Buy was built on not getting review copies at all. So we had nothing to lose then, and we kind of still have nothing to lose now. Like ultimately, I also think that most people I've dealt with, like I am friendly with a lot of people now in the industry, like I'll be totally forthright, but I have shit-talked games, I have disliked games, I have ignored games that people I know have worked on, and it's fine. Honestly, I'm kind of like in that thing where it's like, if people would handle it differently, or if they would like want to blacklist me or something like that because I didn't like their game, then I don't really want to like hang or like rock or like work with those people. I don't want to bother with that, you know? And so far, so good. I started doing this in my basement. No one would talk to me. No one would answer my emails. Still, honestly, a lot of people don't answer my emails. I'm also really bad at email, but either way, like again, it's nice to have access, but it's not something that I have ever been desperate for because I've always done it a little differently. Sean CTV says, have you read any of the new DC Absolute comics? Yes, I want to be on all of them, but I've only had time to keep up with Absolute Batman, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I love Batman. I love Scott Snyder, like huge fan. And I like different takes on Batman, different spins, elseworld feeling things, like what if type stories. And I think this is a particularly good one because it's not afraid to just play around in the Batman playground and like, mess with these different, remix things, but also in a way where it's keeping it deeply, deeply weird. It's got elements of political subtext, but like weird kind of horror stuff, some body horror stuff, some more lighthearted stuff that like you wouldn't expect to see. It really just tries a lot of different things, and I've been enjoying that. It's killing me, like the release rate, but I am like glued to every issue so far. The art, the design, this new Batman as a concept. It's weird. It's not like some like big bulky Batman is not something like I would want right away, but like I don't know. I'm glad I jumped in. I can't help but look forward to the next issue. Adil Ahmed asks, how did you know you wanted to work in games media? Was it a specific game that got you thinking or something else? I think I've answered this before, but ultimately for me, the genesis was Metal Gear Solid. Loving video games, but then playing Metal Gear Solid and then just going hog wild on video games. Like that was like my radicalization point. I was actually able to thank Hideo Kojima in person. Like I was like, hey, thanks for making this game. I wouldn't be here. That game just made me love video games so much that I just wanted to surround my life with them. But I think ultimately like, how I wanted to work in or talk about video games was growing up with magazines, being obsessed with magazines, poring over every page of GamePro, EGM, Nintendo Power, PSM, all of those. And then even like, G4, the early days of G4, watching G4 on TV, Adam Sessler, all those people, that was cool. And then, being on forums, being super online, being on these game forums, being active on even like following like the GameSpot forums, the IGN forums, and just loving reading reviews and being excited for a game and anticipating every little morsel of information. That was really it. I was just hooked on that stuff. Coca-Cola's asks, with Silent Hill F on the horizon, I wanted to ask if you're excited for it. Also, what else would you like to see? Setting, gameplay, story, and a future Silent Hill game. I'm actually very excited for Silent Hill F. Number one, because I think Konami did a decent job with the Silent Hill 2 remake, but I think it's that the developers seem like that developer presentation they did where they were really excited to like inject some actual Japanese influence into their game. Like they obviously Silent Hill is so influenced by Japanese game development, Japanese culture, right? But they actually this time are like showcasing that, having it take place in Japan, and then being excited and passionate about that. Like I couldn't help but just be like, oh, that's cool, good for you guys. But also the fact that it's just doing something different. It's something I didn't see coming. It's something I didn't expect. Silent Hill for a while, when it was really dying on the vine, it just kept trying to do like, here's a game where you're a guy in a jacket in a scary place. And after a while, it fell flat. So the fact that they're giving me a game that isn't just like a guy in a jacket in a spooky town, now it's a little girl not wearing a jacket in a spooky town, but a different type of town, different type of setting, different types of monsters, maybe even different types of elements of horror. That's what I want to see. And like in terms of like what else I would like to see, setting, gameplay, and story in a future Silent Hill game, I would love to see. Did you see my brain fart? I'm stumped because honestly, I don't know what I want to see. I want to be surprised, genuinely. Sam Davidson asks, I'd be interested to hear your opinions on the impact of influencers on gaming. Do you feel there has been a shift in consumers to blind trust in small handfuls of individuals on the internet? E.g., they say this game is bad, therefore it's bad, and nothing can be done about that or any opinion to be had. People don't try things for themselves. I feel the gaming industry is so massively impacted by them. Yeah, I think this is like a big question I could probably spend a whole video talking about, but there's a lot of aspects to it. There's the culture war thing has really, really heavily impacted gaming discourse online and gaming opinions to the point where I think nuance is absolutely lost for a lot of people. A lot of people are very quick to dismiss games very quickly now, and that's frustrating as someone who likes to just dissect and talk about games for the love of the game. And I mean, the big picture, right? That it's hard when sometimes people are like, nope, game has thing, sayonara, I want nothing to do with it. Honestly, like a lot of people, some of you watching this video might feel that way because it has just impacted so many avenues of gaming. I grew up talking about games one way. Now a whole subset of people are growing up talking about games in a completely different way. And I think it just has a little less nuance. On the other hand, too, I think that like there's all this other stuff, right? There's like streamers taking on big games and just playing those games, also being paid to promote those games, which I think like there are a lot of audiences that don't realize or don't care. Like you guys, like if I came out tomorrow and I was like, hey guys, this video is sponsored by Assassin's Creed, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like what? But that happens like every day in streams and other YouTube videos, and a lot of audiences don't care. So like I'm here for like that discerning audience, and I think that they necessarily don't have the biggest footprint or the loudest voice or even the publishers caring about them the most, but they are there. That makes sense. I think review culture is different now, like where I used to be glued for like, you know, excited to see the next IGN review or like the Destructoid Jim Sterling review or Adam Sessler in his prime, like his review, right? We still have that somewhat, like people get excited for a Skill Up review or something like that. But a lot of people will just go to Moist Critical or just go to Asmongold and their video that just says, is this game bad? And that's it. I think there's just so many different types of audiences. Some people like to crack open the newspaper of video game reviews and read all of them and see what the discourse is and the conversation. And some people just have that one go-to, that one person that kind of just sets the tone for that entire audience and how they feel about that game. I'm like really rambling on this one, but that's just kind of like some top level thoughts. Ryan Leo YT says, seeing Doom try out a kind of new aesthetic in Doom the Dark Ages, what aesthetic do you think they would work well into explore next? That's a really good question, because I like that, like the thing I like probably the most about Doom the Dark Ages is that it went in this little bit of a different avenue. But I gotta be honest, I would love a stripped down Doom. I would love a Doom guy that doesn't look like a fucking Power Ranger battle suit guy. I would love to see almost like, you know, Doom 2016 and Doom 3, if they could even like, if that could make a new baby in a way, I would love to see something like that. Essentially, I would like Doom to go simple, go back to its roots again, which I don't think it's strayed too far from its roots in some ways, but I would love to see it really go back down to simple stuff while still keeping it brutal and still keeping it a little scary and a little dark. It's tough. I think it would need to be like a whole new creative team, whole new director, whole new direction. Are they going to do that? I don't know. But yeah, I fantasize sometimes about the original Doom, like 90s Doom, but like a new version of that specifically. And we've kind of gotten that, but like we haven't seen something that just wholesale goes, hey, we're going to do that. Alex McClellan says, what's a small detail in a game that meant a lot to you? That's tough. I very much like, that's a tough one. That's a good question. Small detail. We can go into really small details for things that were like such a big deal for me, like fucking in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, when you would run and you would do a bunch of jumps and rolls on the ground, the prince's pants would have dirt on them. And I thought that was like the most incredible thing. It felt so exciting to me. It felt like revolutionary. It was such a small thing, but like it was something I hadn't really ever seen before. And I was like, holy shit, games are on the up. This is crazy, this technology, right? Stuff like that. But small details, little things in games, like I like what Hideo Kojima does, like Metal Gear Solid 1 having police knots and Snatcher posters in Otacon's office, to Metal Gear Solid 3. You can find copies of magazines of like, I believe like Electronic Gaming Monthly and PSM. Like I like little things like that. That's cool. But yeah, if we're just talking like small detail, like graphical details a developer put in, I love it when someone steps in the water and their pant leg gets wet. Or if the prince from Prince of Persia: Sands of Time rolls around and his pants get dirty. It's such a weird, small thing that's dumb and no one cares now. But like to me back in the day, it just felt like such a tangible, exciting technological development. I'm such a dork. I'm sorry. Trenchcoat says, in terms of IO Interactive's Bond game, are you hoping for anything in particular, like specific gadgets, cars, etc.? Watch gadgets absolutely need to be a thing. A watch gadget, something in the belt as well. Cars wise, I really like the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. That's the 1970 something car, which like the trailer did show some cars, but I would like Bond moments There have been some James Bond games in the past that, like, if you figured out a little trick, or if you shot the chandelier down and made it fall or stuff like that, it would go na 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 na, and you'd like get a little Bond moment, like a little score or something like that. I forget what games in particular, but stuff like that. I want the game to like emphasize me to, or encourage me to think like Bond and do slick, cool shit like Bond. But also, another feature I would like to see is just some levity. I know like the Craig Bond era movies are mostly pretty serious. Obviously, they lighten up in great ways and great places, but like I would like to see a little bit more of like a Brosnan and before style vibe here. Air Marietto says, what do you think is Larian's next RPG? My dream is a Vampire the Masquerade made by them. God, I just put this question in just because I wish that. I don't know what the deal is with this new one. We're going to see more of it soon, I believe. I think they're teasing something for Gamescom, but that game's been through like development hell, and it looks interesting, but I don't know if it's going to live up to the original legacy. I would like Larian very much to take on something like that, something vampiric. I also like when they do play with other people's stuff, like obviously with Baldur's Gate 3. What they've done with building their own games, you know, and their own worlds, of course, you know, the Divinity Original Sin games, stuff like that, like those are cool, but like I like when they do take on other established sandboxes, like something big like with Baldur's Gate. But I'm spitballing, but I would like to see them tackle sci-fi. I don't know. Why can't they do something that's like the next Mass Effect? Like if EA's not going to do it, go for it, guys. Ultimately, though, I just want them to make what they want to make. I think they've stuck to their guns with that so far, and they've kind of just went where the wind and their creative wants took them so far to great success. So if they just continue to do that, I'm along for the ride. But that was a Q&A. It's been a while, so thanks for hitting me with questions. We talked about a lot in this one. Thanks for sticking with me. Some of you listen to this like a podcast, so probably just know in the next like 30 seconds, if you're in the middle of taking out the garbage or cleaning your kitchen table or something like that, this video is gonna end. So thank you for being here. Again, drop questions down in this comment section for my next Q&A video. I'll go in this comment section and cherry pick questions, but yeah. Thanks for being here. If you get what I'm doing, clicking the like button helps me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of my hot takes and cold takes, so hit me up with that as well. But I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.